What's up, guys? You're tuned into Graffiti TV. You're here with Kato, and I'm going to show you guys how to master the drop shadow. So here we have a tag appropriately saying shadow, and I'm going to show you how to cast a shadow evenly and understand what's going on. So I've drawn some light rays here to show you which direction the shadow is going to be cast in. So we've got the light coming from the top right hand corner, and it's going to be hitting those top edges, and then on the back side of those edges it's going to be creating some 3D. So what's going to happen is, coming up, hitting these top edges here, there's not going to be any shadow around there. That's all where your highlights would be. But we're basically just going to do the shadow in this episode. So on the back sides here, this is where you're going to start to see shadows. And I'll show you how that happens right now. So basically it's going to hit that top layer, and then it's going to cast a copy of it as a shadow. So there it is. Moving in the same direction, it's pushing out. The further I pull that shadow away, the further it comes off the ground. Now, you don't want to really pull that shadow, you don't want to pull that tag too high up and create a shadow too far away, because you see what starts happening when you move it more than the thickness of the actual letters. What you get is this crossover, and this becomes visually really complicated and not very nice to look at. So with a drop shadow, you really only want to just pull it a little bit, just enough so that you can start to see the effect, and it'll punch your letters out. Now you can move this in any direction that you want. A lot of the time the drop shadow seems to be nice from that top right corner. A lot of things will use it in that way. Now you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. Like I say, whatever works, works. Now I've done one already here, and so that's set at a nice distance. Now I also did some outlines of it to show you how you would do it. Like I've done it in an application here where it's easy for me to demonstrate how it's cast. So what I did is I created a little outline here too. So when you're drawing this, you would essentially, you wouldn't be doing it the way I've just done it exactly. You would be drawing the lines on. So wherever those blue lines are, you would be drawing your shadow here. Okay, hang on a sec. So you'd be coming along and drawing your lines like this. And to understand where to draw those lines without this layer technique that I'm doing here, these guideline rays really help. So it shows you that the light's coming down, it's going to be hitting this edge here. So you're basically going to copy the edge. Whatever the backside edge is that's not going to be hit with light, it's going to be that back edge that's going to be casting the shadow. So you could just draw lines. Lines is really helpful to just see where it's going. If all your lines are moving in the same direction like this, you can tell where the drop shadow is going to go. So sometimes it's a little bit tricky to know if it's not a straight edge. It's a little bit hard, like this area over here. This is a bit hard to know what to do. So you're copying, remember it's a copy of the top layer. So you would just keep the same distance between your lines all the way around, and you would keep copying this edge here until they basically merge, which is this point here. So it can be tricky with certain letters and certain types, like let's have a look on this D here. The D is a really good example of how complicated a drop shadow can be sometimes. So again, all of your lines traveling the same distance, the same direction, sorry. But then there's going to be a point where those lines disappear. And what's happening is that line is going to start appearing on the other side. Same thing, there's lines that are all traveling the same distance. There's just a certain point where the letter itself, this stroke here, is going to become the same direction, and that's where they will merge. So I think that makes sense. But with the drop shadow as well, what's going to happen is, depending on what it's like up the edge, you're not drawing a line straight from here to here, because this top edge has a curve on it, so you would draw the same curve here, and that's what gives you that nice little interesting shape there, and that really makes it pop out as being a drop shadow and not a 3D. A 3D would just straight back from that edge, but because there's nothing there, it's a shadow, it's going to actually wrap around, and then this edge would do the same thing. So you get this nice little bump in there, and that just makes it a lot more believable shadow. It's a good example up there. So yeah, that's how you do a drop shadow. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll be doing another episode on 3D and how that works, and you can push the idea of 3D a little bit more than drop shadow, but drop shadow is a really handy way to just add a bit of dimension to your letters, your piece, whatever you want to make pop out of the screen. So give it a shot. Let me know how you go. If you've got any questions, just jump into the comments below. I'll be sure to answer and help you guys out. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. All right, peace.